I'm here, we got one take, let's talk about the elevator in the room. Now up until this point, freight elevators were mostly used in single-player, short-term environments like personal hangars. There would usually only be one user, and on the back end it would be stowed when you left and a fresh new freight elevator presented every single time you went back in. Now, while certainly not perfect, these tended to operate better than the ones out in the wilderness at, say, outposts, which, like many other things in the verse, tended to compound their issues over time the longer they were left to run. Now, of all the known issues with all the freight elevators in the game, most tend to revolve around simple things like it just doesn't work, and bigger problems like all my items have vanished and they're now lost forever, which itself can often tie into other issues with things like long-term persistence, which we're gonna have an SCL on with Benoit soon to discuss some new developments there, so if it's okay with you, we're gonna stick to freight elevators for the time being. Now at this point, I'm not really telling you anything that most active players don't already know. But it's important to note that these issues have been egregious enough that we'd already started a directed repair initiative months ago. It's just not completed yet. Obviously. Maybe super obviously. As with transit, when working these issues, we try really hard to avoid what are known as hack fixes and focus instead on trying to uncover what is ultimately the root cause that will create all this instability underneath. And that process can often seem like absolutely nothing is happening for days or even weeks at a time. So last month, what happened with Race for Stanton? Well, sometimes changing how we use old features can be just as painful as adding a bunch of new ones. With a higher concurrency in daily active users than any patch this year, large numbers of players were driven from their private freight elevators and their personal hangars to the more troublesome ones out in the PU. Statistically rare states became common, and less common issues became fertilized and grew into bigger, unavoidable ones. Although in many cases, this still took hundreds or even thousands of players using each freight elevator to manifest a single issue. Now, like with transit before it, or the infamous 30K issues of old, who remembers those? The issues you encounter in the PU are not always due to one or two bugs, but often dozens and dozens of underlying conditions beneath and around it, which throwing thousands and thousands of players at have helped us address more successfully than ever before. And since the release of Alpha 4.2.1 and up until the recording of this video, we've identified the root causes of 44 individual freight elevator issues, with 20 of them being classified as blockers or critical, and almost all of them with causes only revealed by running thousands of people into them over and over and over again throughout this event. Now, in a phrase that should be very familiar to our software engineer enthusiasts out there, as we worked to fix each issue we encountered, the resolution would often reveal another lying in wait underneath. But this is a good thing, yeah? We did all this intentionally to force progress so we can finally fix freight elevators like we did 30K and are still doing with transit? No. Now, while the project will definitely benefit from what happened long-term with all the fixes and hardening that's been going in and that will continue to go in throughout Alpha 4.3 and beyond, the answer to what really happened isn't particularly exciting or salacious or any different than what I imagine most of you already suspected. We knew there'd be issues like there have been, but we underestimated how they'd compound on top of one another at higher stresses. It's been a sometimes frustrating process for everyone on both sides of the project, but at the same time, we're super proud of the content and cadence we've achieved this year, and of the strides all of our teams are making to make this the most compelling year of Star Citizen gameplay yet. For every single step backwards, I truly believe we're taking multiple strides forward, and the overall improvements to the experience along the way are what keep many of us motivated to continue going month after month. And with this new Onyx Facilities content drop being spread out over multiple releases, we're going to continue taking the time to improve existing experiences along the way. And to that end, as some of you probably have already heard, it was in the loading screen and whatnot, we're also going to go ahead and extend the Race for Stanton missions while we continue to work on freight elevators throughout Alpha 4.3. It'll mean another month for folks to try to dethrone Hurston from the lead they hit so very early, for you to earn any of the individual rewards that are still outstanding, and for us to continue beating on freight elevators about the head and neck with the proverbial pipe along the way. And all while you continue your exploration of ASD's latest malpractices. And speaking of which, we've also made the decision to keep relatively quiet on Onyx facilities in ISC and beyond. We do this to better let you investigate and discover things for yourself. But that doesn't mean there isn't more that August has to offer. So let's go ahead and use our remaining time this week to explore the other aspects of this new release in Patch Report Alpha 4.3. For several years now, we've had these ground storms with rain and snow and whatnot, and those are sticking around for a while yet. But in Alpha 4.2, we continued to get our feet wet with the first iteration of dynamic rain. And now, 2 months later in this release, we're continuing our climate campaign with the nascent version of dynamic snow, which leverages the same system to sleet the skies wherever the surrounding situation is sound. Sorry. It's a small thing to let us avoid rain falling on snowy areas, but these incipient iterations will continue to develop both in gameplay and in its sights and sounds over subsequent releases. And meanwhile, in things you can wear and hold, almost every patch this year has had a new armor and weapon to discover. And in August, you'll find the new Specialist Light Stealth Armor. There are a few different variations floating around, including a neat ASD one, and this one from Wicklow. It's an interesting visor, but it does beg the question, with the blast shield down, how can I even see? How am I supposed to fight? To which the answer is, I probably shouldn't quote Star Wars, because Disney has lawyers. We've also got a new Volt weapon this month called the Zenith Sniper Rifle that, and let me read this text I have on the screen here from Zach, combines the raw punch of a charged sniper shot with the rapid-fire precision of a marksman rifle, which doesn't sound OP as heck at all, Zach. Now, there are some notes here about how loud it'll be and how important managing heat is, because if you don't, it becomes essentially inoperable, like me. And it's the latest in this year's line of Volt weapons, and like all the others before it, you can be the judge if its advantages are worth the trade-offs. Also, hangar respawning returns. Now, it's a small thing, but the ability to spawn directly into your personal hangar and get back into the fray should be a welcome one for anyone that's played the game for a while. Personal hangars are slowly becoming our first true homes in the verse, and this is yet another step in the right direction. Also another step in the right direction, spawning ground vehicles from the freight elevators, which is not coming in Alpha 4.3, but I've got a platform and I'm gonna use it to say everybody wants it, Benoit, and we're gonna find time to prioritize it for the schedule, after more fixes in the next couple months first. Let's move on to virtual currencies. Now this year we introduced Wicklow, the collector, and his emporium of esoteric effects. Not the actual name. And over the last couple months, we've seen vehicles new and old get added to his inventory as variants with unique paints and components. And that's great. Or at least it was once we killed the RNG thing. Yay! But what about the various ship shops in the verse? Where's my Golem, the Fortune, the Guardians? Well, in Alpha 4.3, inventories are getting updated with many of the most recent ships that have been released. What this means is, while you can still pledge for ships to support the continuing development of Star Citizen, and you can still work for those fancy component variants of many with Wicklow, you should also be able to pursue the base versions of newer vehicles for AUEC, and in a more reasonable timetable from now on. It's our way of saying, yeah, we'll be better at this going forward. It was Tyler Wicken's fault. And while we're talking about spaceships, starting back in May and continuing with each monthly patch after that, the Vehicle Experience team began the next wave of flight tuning adjustments for every ship in the verse, hitting most of the heavy and medium fighters and interceptor subclasses within. Now with Alpha 4.3, it's time for some light fighters to get their pass. This includes adjusting SCM and nav speeds to increase variation within the class, altering the linear and angular accelerations, adjusting health pools, and even swapping out some flight controller components. Now there's a whole list with details in the patch notes, but if you haven't flown your light fighter in a while, maybe give it a go this patch. And while we're talking about light fighters, what would a patch in 2025 be without brand new vehicles? And for August, we've got the long-awaited debut of the L-21 Wolf. It's sleek, it's slick, it's kind of like a cool spaceship Rorschach test. See, some people see a fancy hot rod, some people see a Supermarine Spitfire, and some people like me see a Naboo Starfighter. But it's not. It's not Disney. It's the newest light fighter from Cougar Intergalactic, a brand previously known for the Merlin and Archimedes, two ships who share the same names as characters in an old animated film about King Arthur from... Now you can learn more about it in our dedicated Behind the Ships episode, also available on YouTube, and the L-21 Wolf will be flyable as soon as Alpha 4.3 releases. And lastly, let's go ahead and touch on this month's big content drop, the new Onyx facilities. Now this is a big swing from our environment, level design, mission, sound, and every other team that's worked on them. And that's why I'm not gonna say a whole lot. Everyone here really wants you to just get in there and experience them for yourselves. And don't forget, this is our first multi-part release of the year. So we'll open up that third and final wing eventually, and you'll find out what Dr. Yearn and ASD has really been up to. It's more than just worm torture, I can promise you that. Ultimately, this month like this year, we'll continue to see Star Citizen pushing its development into lots of new directions. And quite frankly, some are going to work better than others. Some are going to take us a bit to figure out. And some are going to be some of the best and most interesting content we've ever released. Align and Mine, Stormbreaker, Onyx facilities. I just want to shout out all the work everyone on Dev is doing to keep this year interesting and to continue improving the existing gameplay systems along the way. And then, of course, the continued engagement with the project from you, who are coming back month after month in record numbers to see where we're going next. And finally, if you are wondering why I'm at my desk, where I spend most of my day doing my other job behind the scenes that has little to do with ISC or SCL, there's this little thing called CitizenCon Direct coming up on October 11th. And the spaceship is currently locked down for the next 8 weeks filming for that. So be sure you check out the latest post on the Bar Citizen Global Watch Parties to find out where you can join our staff to watch it as it unfolds. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for listening to me yak about freight elevators for 5 minutes. And I was gonna do a joke here at the end where I pretend to push a button and the elevator takes me down beneath my desk. But considering the work that we still have ahead of us in fixing them proper, it would probably go a little something like this. I'll just say we know what's left to do and we're on it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
See, you know, I like how they stay humble. They admit their mistakes, you know, and ready to move on from there. You know, you have to do that. You know, it's not just about playing the game, right? But while I got you here, let me introduce you to our website that you can check out. You can join us by going to the website, and I will put the link in the chat. And please feel free to put in your application. Do bear in mind you do have to join on Spectrum still as well. There's no way for me to connect that and have you do that at the same time, so you do have to do that. And then it uses Discord as the authentication. So then you would join our Discord server, and yeah, and then you'll be a part of the Vanguard. And just so you know what that means, here is a YouTube video, music video for you to check out.
Torchbearers rise with hearts ablaze through endless nights and shadowed haze. We hold the spark the world forgot, guiding dreams where fear is not. Vanguards of hope with fearless stride, we cross the void where stars collide. Our steps ignite the paths unknown for every seeker far from home. We are the light in the cosmic dark, burning bright like a fleeting spark, protectors of those who dare to dream a boundless force, a radiant beam. Who whispers of skies untold, legends forged in the starlit cold. Shield of dreamers, we hold it tight, a beacon strong in the endless night. Through galaxies that twist and bend, we walk as guides till journey's end. Each breath we take a vow to keep the dream alive while others sleep. We are the light in the cosmic dark, burning bright like a fleeting spark, protectors of those who dare to dream a boundless force, a radiant beam.
Woo! Let's go. Please come join us. We're looking for good people to help us to defend the verse and to grow with the game. We got 3,000 member goal. Mission success rate is pretty high because yeah, we like to get things done. Over 1,000 missions completed over the lifetime between all members. 24/7 operation support. All this is through the website, by the way. You know, you got member benefits. So yeah, go ahead and check it out if you want to see more about that. But yeah, that's pretty much that. So thanks for watching, and I hope everybody has a great one. I appreciate all the support, and